From Beyond Violence, San Diego State College, 6 April 1970. We should go into the question of fear completely, understand it fully, so that we shall be rid of it. It can be done. It is not just a theory or a hope. If one gives complete attention to this question of fear, to how one approaches it, looks at it, then one will find that the mind that has suffered so much, that has endured so much pain, that has lived with great sorrow and fear, will be completely free of it. To go into this, it is absolutely essential that one has no prejudice that will prevent one from understanding the truth of what is. To take this journey together implies neither acceptance nor denial, neither saying to oneself that it is absolutely impossible to be rid of fear, nor that it is possible. One needs a free mind to inquire into this question, a mind that, having reached no conclusion, is free to observe, to inquire. There are so many forms of psychological and psychosomatic fear. To go into each one of these various forms of fear, into every aspect, would take an enormous amount of time. But one can observe the general quality of fear. One can observe the general nature and structure of fear without getting lost in the detail of a particular form of one's fears. When one understands the nature and structure of fear as such, then one can approach, with that understanding, the particular fear. One may be afraid of the dark. One may be afraid of one's wife or husband, or of what the public says or thinks or does. One may be afraid of the sense of loneliness, or the sense of emptiness of life, the boredom of the meaningless existence that one leads. One may be afraid of the future, of the uncertainty and insecurity of tomorrow, or of the bomb. One may be afraid of death, the ending of one's life. There are so many forms of fear, the neurotic as well as the sane, rational fears, if fear can ever be rational or sane. Most of us are neurotically afraid of the past, of today, and of tomorrow, so that time is involved in fear. There are not only the conscious fears of which one is aware, but also those that are deep down, undiscovered in the deep recesses of one's mind. How is one to deal with conscious fears as well as those that are hidden? Surely fear is the movement away from what is. It is the flight, the escape, the avoidance of, actually, that brings about fear. Also, when there is comparison of any kind, there is the breeding of fear, the comparison of what you are with what you think you should be. So fear is in the movement away from what is actual, not in the object from which you move away. None of these problems of fear can be resolved through will, saying to oneself, I will not be afraid. Such acts of will have no meaning. We are considering a very serious problem to which one has to give one's complete attention. One cannot give attention if one is interpreting or translating or comparing what is being said with what one already knows. One has to listen, an art one has to learn, for normally one is always comparing, evaluating, judging, agreeing, denying, and one does not listen at all. Actually, one prevents oneself from listening. To listen so completely implies that one gives one's whole attention. It does not mean one agrees or disagrees. There is no agreement or disagreement when we are exploring together, but the microscope through which one looks may not be clear. If one looks through a precision instrument, then what one sees is what another will also see. Therefore, there is no question of agreement or disagreement. In trying to examine this whole question of fear, one has to give one's whole attention. And yet, until fear is resolved, it deadens the mind, makes it insensitive, dull. How does it happen that the hidden fears are exposed? One can know the conscious fears, how to deal with them will come presently. But there are hidden fears, which are perhaps more important. So how will one deal with them? How will one expose them? Can they be exposed through analysis, seeking their cause? Will analysis free the mind from fear? Not a particular neurotic fear, but the whole structure of fear? In analysis is implied not only time, but the analyzer, taking many, many days, years, even the whole of one's life, at the end of which perhaps you have understood a little, but you are ready for the grave. Who is the analyzer? If he or she is the professional, the expert who has a degree, he will also take time. He also is the result of many forms of conditioning. If one analyzes oneself, there is implied the analyzer who is the censor, and he is going to analyze the fear that he himself has created. In any event, analysis takes time. In the interval between that which you are analyzing and its ending, many other factors will arise that give it a different direction. You have to see the truth that analysis is not the way, because the analyzer is a fragment among the many other fragments that go to make up the me, the I, the ego. He is the result of time. He is conditioned. To see the analysis implies time and does not bring the ending of fear means that you have completely put aside the whole idea of progressive change. You have seen that the very factor of change is one of the major causes of fear. To the speaker, this is very important. Therefore, he feels very strongly, he speaks intensely, but he is not doing propaganda. There is nothing for you to join, nothing for you to believe, but observe and learn and be free of this fear. So analysis is not the way. When you see the truth of that, it means you are no longer thinking in terms of the analyzer who is going to analyze, going to judge and evaluate, and your mind is free of that particular burden called analysis. Therefore, it is capable of looking directly. How are you to look at this fear? How are you to bring out all its structures, all its hidden parts? Through dreams? Dreams are the continuation of the activity of waking hours during sleep, are they not? You observe in dreams that there is always action. Something or other is happening in dreams as in the waking hours, a continuation that is still part of one whole movement. So dreams have no value. You see what is happening? We are eliminating the things to which you are accustomed. Analysis, dreams, will, time. When you eliminate all those, the mind becomes extraordinarily sensitive. Not only sensitive, but intelligent. Now, with that sensitivity and intelligence, we are going to look at fear. If you really go into this, you turn your back on the whole of the social structure in which time, analysis, and will are in operation. What is fear? How does it come? Fear is always in relation to something. It does not exist by itself. There is fear of what happened yesterday in relation to the possibility of its repetition tomorrow. There is always a fixed point from which relationship takes place. How does fear come into this? I had pain yesterday. There is the memory of it, and I do not want it again tomorrow. Thinking about the pain of yesterday, thinking that involves the memory of yesterday's pain, projects the fear of having pain again tomorrow. So it is thought that brings about fear. Thought breeds fear. Thought also cultivates pleasure. To understand fear, you must also understand pleasure. They are interrelated. Without understanding one, you cannot understand the other. This means that one cannot say, I must have only pleasure and no fear. Fear is the other side of the coin that is called pleasure.